just struck 8 p.m. in Banjul from our studios on MDR Road. This is the GRTS News. First, the headlines. President Adama Barrow calls for increased voter participation. This as he casts his vote in Old Yundum. H-free in most parts of the country. The 2018 mayoral and chairperson's election faced widespread low voter turnout. And Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb terrorist group threatens attacks on Western farms operating across Northern and Western Africa. Plus, in Zimbabwe, women are for women. An organization in Zimbabwe advocates for gender parity in the household. These and other stories coming ahead in this hour. I am Ibrahim Chata. Welcome to the news. As Gambians across the country vote in the mayoral and chairperson's election, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, accompanied by Lady Sajo Mbalo Barrow, was among those who cast their ballot at the Old Yundum polling station. Mamadou Jallow was with the First family, and he now tells us more.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, arrived at the Old Yundum polling station early morning to cast his ballot. The veteran IC Chairman Ali Muhammad Jai and staff were at hand to receive the Gambian leader. After the usual protocols, President Barrow entered the voting chamber to complete the process. Speaking to reporters, the Gambian leader described the election as very important.
I'm really excited, I'm happy, and I think this is the last cycle of elections. I think this is very, very important. As you are aware, I'm on holidays, but it's my civic right to vote. As a leader, you have to lead by example. We are calling on all Gambians to come out and vote. We are voting for council, who we represent at the level of the council, who collect our taxes. I think it's important for you to decide who will take the responsibility for you.
President Barrow reaffirmed his commitment to the democratic process, saying this election will only strengthen the Gambia's democratic credentials.
We contested election based on the principle of democracy. We want to make sure that democracy continues. And we want to make sure that everybody is free in this country to exercise your right. I think everybody have enjoyed this cycle of elections. It has been free, fair, and independent. I think that's the most important thing.
He, however, expressed disappointment with the low voter turnout, arguing that this trend should be addressed through concerted efforts by all stakeholders. The President later drove back to his home village, where he is expected to see out the remainder of his vacation. Mamadou Jallow, GRTS News.
Mamadou Jallow reporting there. Meanwhile, the Vice President, Her Excellency Aja Fatumata Jallow Tambajan, also cast her vote at the Kotu Community Center. Shortly after voting, the Vice President called for increased participation in our country's electoral system. Suma Jarama tells us more.
This mayoral and chairmanship elections complete the local government election cycle 2018. In the capital city, Banjul, the voter apathy was the first noticeable feature in several polling stations, with many Banjulians.
Despite low voter turnout at the time of visiting the Kotu polling station, Vice President Tambajan saw up to execute her franchise. Madam Tambajan dilated that low participation in local government election would weaken equitable dispensation of grassroots democracy, good governance and development.
It's very important that people vote for the local elections. If you vote for local elections, you live in a community. It means you're making decision and you're participating in the process of development of your communities. If every vote counts, so people should really go out and vote peacefully. The Gambia of today is Gambia of unity, Gambia of peace and stability. After all, we are all one people.
She urged citizens to come out in numbers to judiciously make their choices through the secret ballot.
Decisions you are making at the local level are the decisions that would matter. These are the decisions that you bring to the central level to inform policy. And if you don't vote, it means you're weakening the local governance of your communities.
On peace and stability, Madam Tambajan challenged all and sundry to consolidate the gains made during and after election. The chairman IEC Aliu Momor Njai lamented the low voter turnout across the country and called for urgent concerted efforts to combat the problem.
Each of these ballot agents is given a list of the number of candidates in that ward.
Njai described the presence of party agents at various polling stations as an indication of his office's commitment to execute free, fair and transparent election.
One of the reasons why I said we have to change from this ballot drums to paper ballot. In the morning I was in Martingilo, London Corner, to witness the opening of the polls. Because all these night ballot drums had to be sealed in the presence of the third-party agents. They have to tie them together, and even to get a bench that can contain all these night ballot drums was impossible.
Suma Jadama reporting for GRTS.
Suma Jadama there. We apologize for that earlier. And moving on to the island city of Banjul, the capital has 9 wards with a little over 22,000 registered voters and 9 different candidates ranging from party representatives to independent candidates. This highly contested city has witnessed an active campaign period, but as the race for the mayoral seat comes to an end, election day was not quite as impressive as expected. Uminjai covered the voting process and now gives us this update.
This mayoral and chairmanship elections complete the local government election cycle 2018. In the capital city, Banjul, the voter apathy was the first noticeable feature in several polling stations, with many Banjulians.
For the closing time, 5 p.m., probably people will respond to come and cast their vote. But for now, the turnout is very low.
The capital city, however, saw a mass display of security personnel patrolling the streets of Banjul to ensure a chaos-free environment. But other places in the capital city were nearly torn apart as tension rose amid a show of anger allegedly sparked by some people who decided to break election rules with several unethical practices, including the handing of monies to electorates on their way to vote to make sure their choice wins the race.
Yes, I said so far, we have not had so much of any incidents apart from the fact that when we were coming, an elderly man saw us that we are observers and he tried to express his concern that some were being induced, collecting money to cast their vote.
Crisscrossing the length and breadth of the island metropolis, we caught up with some people who already casted their votes and shared their impressions with us.
The citizens of the Gambia, what you know politics mu bowling. Politics fi lañu fekk, politics dafa dem bayyi ñu fi. Ñun ñoy dajé ci suñu ngenté yi, suñu dëkk yi, suñu takay yi, suñu jabar yi dajé ci marché yi, ñoy dajé ci moto yi, ñoy dajé ci office yi, ñoy dajé ci mbédami, ñoy def so e buñ nangu ku nekk nak fu la neex nak nga far. Waye nak bu mu nekk problème.
At Makati Square polling station, mayoral aspirant Laiba expressed satisfaction with the polling process and equally said he is hopeful.
I am very content as the incumbent. I have already served 5 years. I am not fighting to become the mayor of Banjul. I am mayor of Banjul at 7 o'clock to announce a QA. All Banjulians have right to contest an election.
In Banjul, many candidates are vying for the mayoral seat with promises of changing and a new dawn for the island capital city. That countdown has almost climaxed, and at the close of polling today, Banjulians will finally know who their new city mayor is.
I believe most Banjulians believe in me. It was demonstrated during the carnival. You know, we have thousands of people coming out, and they were not given any money. They were not given told anything. They just accepted the manifesto that we presented to transform Banjul to a modern city that is vibrant, that people can walk, live and enjoy life the way they want to choose to. So I believe people will buy onto it and we can move forward and transform Banjul definitely from now on.
The electoral body officials have played a significant role with a great sense of maturity throughout the rounds of local government elections to ensure a free, fair and transparent one. The onus now lies on the chosen candidates to adhere to the letter. Ominjai, GRTS.
Ominjai there. When crucial mayoral polls opened in the Kanifing municipality, they found one old man up and ready to cast his vote. His early appearance contradicts what has largely been a record low voter participation in the mayoral and chairperson's elections. But as MS Jallo reports, even a low turnout cannot quite offset the focus on the race for the next mayor of the expansive Kanifing municipality, with all eyes focused on the future of what is perhaps the most important metropolis in the country.
This old man called Pa Malik Sise defied old age to exercise his constitutional rights by voting in the Kanifing mayoral elections. At his age, voting would not be an option for many, but he was determined to vote for his choice of candidate. Aided by a working stick, with help from the electoral officer, he cast his ballot before heading home to wait for the results. Sise was among thousands of voters who took to the polls to elect the next mayor of the Kanifing Municipal Council. Polls opened as early as 8 a.m., but the turnout wasn't quite impressive, with low early voter turnout registered in the polling stations visited. 9 candidates are contesting the vacant mayoral seat, which is by far the most keenly contested in the history of the country's biggest municipal elections. At the various polling centers, voters go through the voting process to cast their ballots, which was described as smooth and orderly by the electoral officers, voters and party agents.
The voting process is going on smoothly. At the moment, agents are coping with the police officers and also they are coping with the IAC officers.
Well, it is smooth. Everything is going well as expected. The only problem now is that people are not coming in large numbers as expected.
The voting process is going on normal. We don't have any difficulties on it. We are working hard. We are just waiting for people to come out and vote.
The 9 candidates were among the electorate who cast their votes at their registered voting centers, with some of them expressing optimism.
I have worked so hard for this day before today, so I know that people will return that favor in terms of votes. I'm very confident that the people of this municipality know who to vote for, and that's obviously me.
I'm very optimistic, and I think looking at the turnout in different areas, according to information we are getting, I think we are very confident.
The fact that we have launched a very successful campaign, presenting a program that no other candidate have presented to the people, we're sure they will vote for us based on that.
But the choice lies with the electorate.
If I have the majority voting for me, I will win. But it all depends on what the Gambian people, what the people of KMC says through their ballots, through their votes. I cannot predict. I'm very confident because I'm unique in this race, in the sense that I'm not a professional politician. I came to help to develop. What obtains is that people's taxes and rates are being collected at the KMC, and KMC people are complaining that they are not seeing anything in return.
It remains to be seen how the low voter turnout will influence the final results. But the trend of voter apathy, especially in the local government elections, is a worrying concern for electoral officers.
The only disappointment we had is like the low turnout. You know, people fail to realize that money has been spent on these elections, and these are taxpayers' monies. So it doesn't tell well after having spent all this money and yet people don't want to come out and vote. Definitely, people need to think. They need to take ownership of these processes because they are, selecting or electing their own people to represent them on developmental issues of their communities and their country as a whole.
But if every voter emulates the exemplary rule and courage of this old man in exercising their franchise, not only will it enhance the country's young democracy, but will not be a waste of resources. The Kanifi municipality is the biggest municipality in the country, but has over the years been lagging behind in all facets of development. Voters will hope the winner of today's election will mark the dawn of a new beginning for the people of the municipality. The reason this old man, who could not remember his age, but told me in 1940, found him learning the Quran, came to cast his vote. Can the new mayor bring hope to his children and grandchildren? Now that voting has ended, it remains to be seen who the electorates of the Kanifi municipality will entrust among the 9 candidates to occupy this office. As you can see, already renovation works are going on, perhaps trying to suggest that they are preparing the ground for the arrival of the new mayor. But whoever is given the task or whoever is entrusted to occupy this office will certainly have a very big responsibility to transform the Kanifi municipality into a vibrant and a modern municipality. Mohamed Jallo, GRTS News.
Courageous man there and a great piece by Mohamed Jallo. And now to the West Coast region, more like other parts of the country, has also registered a dismal voter turnout. As Fatou Molosi reports, natives of the region have cited several reasons as the cause for the lack of electoral participation.
As the country goes to the polls to elect mayors and chairpersons for the 2018 local government election, the West Coast region, with 4 candidates from the APRC party, the UDP, GDC, and 1 independent candidate, has seen a significant low voter turnout.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Namrabe mulbi nalde ba mulbi sayna stata mambe baki. Mulbi kilinkili nala. Tondo janni ngularo fatalan nanal kaji. Mando mulbi fintlale. Kadol kata na polleto. Inala bankarte fayola.
Ajafata Sise, the presiding officer of Nyambai Ward Nema Jibong, said less than 50% of the 652 registered voters turned out to cast their votes. Similar trend persisted in Kembujeri Pantaba and Mandinaba Jibora wards.
Anyway, we have started since 8 o'clock, but up till now the voting is so slow. It's very slow. And definitely, to me, it is not promising at all. People are coming though, but they are coming in sequence.
The voting percentage is low. The turnout is very low. Yeah.
Okay, so how many registered voters do you have in this particular ward?
650.
Yeah. How many have voted?
Almost less, maybe less than 100. Yes.
Tobacco Ward provided a different trend, as we witnessed an impressive turnout comprising mainly young people.
So far, I think things are going smooth and fine because if you look at the voting process now, the old ones have come very early to cast their vote, and the youths are also coming up as of now. Yeah, and the turnout is a bit impressive compared to the councillorship election.
Sheriff Sonko and Francis Sani are the aspiring candidates for UDP and GDC respectively. Both candidates took time to talk to GRTS about their aspirations for the region.
Are you hopeful that you're going to win?
Pardon?
Are you hopeful that you're going to win? And if yes, why do you feel that you're going to win?
Yes, I'm going to win, inshallah. I'm going to win. But UDP, this is the first time the vote we're going to extract from coin for Fonyi is going to be too much. It's going to be too much. There are a lot of sensitizations that we did for people to understand their democratic rights. So I am 100% sure that I'm going to win, certainly.
I pray whoever is going to lead us at the council, by the wish of the Almighty Allah, let that person be the chairman. Fine. Not that the reason why I'm telling that I'm afraid of it. I know by the grace of the Almighty Allah, in the afternoon or in the evening, when you hear the results, just go and sit. Maybe I'll give you my number, you'll call me.
The Alcalo of Faraba Bantang expressed his disappointment with the low voter turnout in his ward, citing the lack of awareness on the importance of this election as the main reason behind it.
Well, it is the chairpersons and mayoral elections, and we are out here in the West Coast region. You've had a lot of people express their disappointment in the low voter turnout. Well, here in Tubacuta, the people are really hopeful that as the day goes by, a lot of people will come out to cast their votes, as they have a lot of people who've already voted earlier this morning. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatih Kamulushi, West Coast region.
There. Now, voting in the Lower River region started as early as 7:30 a.m. in the morning. The race for the chairperson in the Mansa Concord Area Council is between Landing Sane of the UDP and Fode Langsar of the GDC. Samuel Ba updates us on how the process fared in some of the key polling stations there.
Early morning scenes at Burokang polling station in Kiang Central, where officials of IEC were busy confirming their electoral item. A total of 450 marbles were confirmed. Voters already on standby to cast their votes. We are just at the Sankandi Nyoro polling station. Of course, it is one of the
Samuel Ba there will aspire to bring you that report later on in the bulletin. Now, moving on, a low voter turnout in the Central River region. This has been registered as Gambians return to the polls to elect mayors and chairpersons for area councils. Aloy Mendy is in Janjambure and reports election officials blame the situation on low voter sensitization.
Alaji Momodu Jany of Janjambure was one of the first people to vote in the Central River region. The veteran teacher advances reasons for participating.
I've always felt that it's a national duty, and because it is a national duty, I have the honor to.
The chairperson's election in Central River region witnessed a low turnout. Election officials attributed the scenario to the lack of awareness on the part of the electorate. Others, including SRCC of Wasu, believe that 10 days campaign for candidates weren't enough to visit all the communities. Sokeba Kuyate, many in the hard-to-reach communities couldn't travel out to bigger villages to vote because they lacked the mobility to do so.
As others are saying, they don't know, the candidates, and some of them are saying they are not aware of the day of the election.
For my own point of view, the understanding about the election is very low. Yeah, the chairmanship or the local government in general. Yeah, because if you see or look at the past elections, like you comparing the presidential and the local government elections, it's a big margin. So I can say people are not putting value. They don't add value to this other election because they don't know the responsibilities of the area councils here. So maybe they are not sufficing their interest too. That's my own point of view.
What do you suggest could be the way forward for the next one?
As far as I'm concerned, the civic education team, they have a big role to play. Yeah, they have to come down to the grassroots. We don't expect them to go to the towns, Janjambure, Bansa and others, because you have more well-informed people in those places. But, they have to get to hard-to-reach places, like the, vulnerable people who are very far from reality, to let them know what is happening so that, we can tackle this problem.
But in Kirmaram, in the Central River region north, residents of Tanu, Jatali and Sinjo Malik Bari organized themselves in a truck and drove 10 kilometers to Kirmaram on the highway to cast their votes. They narrated their solemn story of lack of pipe-borne water, schools and health facilities. Their wells, said Fanny Guy, are 55 meters deep. The task of drawing water is huge. Elections in the Central River region was hitch-free, confirmed by the security apparatus and the polling agents. In Kirmaram, Fatoumata Diba, the IEC Assistant Returning Officer for Kuntaur Ward, was on patrol.
So far, my observations, the election definitely, the turnout is very low. It's very poor, as we've seen compared to the past elections.
In Lamin Koto, CRR North, Our interface with driver Biram Dao revealed that the Bansang car park needs rehabilitation. In Oraba, south of the Central River region, Aisatufani said her village, Yorobel Kunda, is far from the nearest school and hope that their votes in this election would change that. In CRR, only a handful of the youthful population voted. In Bansang, co-wives Ajiyasin Sise and Halima Tubari, aged 89 and 90, voted. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
Moving on, 4 candidates from the UDP, NRP, DOI, and GDC are vying for the Kerawan Area Council chairperson seat. As Aminata Sanyang reports, elections in the North Bank region has been characterized by low voter turnout, and majority of those who voted are mainly women and the elderly.
It's another time for election. Here in North Bank region, the IEC officials are set to receive the electorates in their various polling stations. During the councilorship election, voter apathy is said to be a cause for concern, where all men and women showed up to cast their vote. The same thing seemed to appear. At some polling stations, only old men and women showed up, taking electorates across the country back to the polls for what is by far the most critical vote after the presidential elections. In the North Bank region, the electorate emerged early to cast their votes in the race for the chairmanship of the Kerawan Area Council. That's a municipality overseeing all areas in the expansive region with several major towns that include Farafenye. After fixing voting materials, IEC officials had little work to do due to the low voter turnout, which strongly dampened the mood of what was expected to be an action-packed day of voting in the region's various polling stations. This is the busiest place in Farafenye. It's where men and women gather to trade, conduct business, and mostly discuss important issues of the day. The sport was picture of voter indifference. No one here showed much interest in day's polling activities, and many seemed to prefer the crafting of the day's livelihood to casting their votes. Yet some of the electorates here had a few issues and complaints to channel. Others lamented the poor information dissemination to people residing in remote areas across the region. I caught up with a grade 12 student, Haruna Job, who has his own explanation for the reason behind the massive voter apathy in North Bank.
So my observation is that, like me, I don't have a voter's card. And I know many of us also who doesn't have a voter's card. And the reason why me, I don't have a voter's card is that the duration given to people to have voter's card is very short. And lack of information flow. Many of us don't aware that voters card is supposed to be given under validity. So many of us don't have voters card, and this election happening here today, I can say many of them are not aware of it. Those women you see there to go to the voters card, they are the one following the campaign. So they are the one having the troops, and they are the one who have small clubs in this town. So those are the people whom they go to. That's where they get the information. But people like me going to school, come around, and those doing businesses, only when they come across of the information. But it's a very information flow. So I have to say the televisions, very difficult to want to watch GRTS here. I can say few compounds have GRTS to watch GRTS. So it's a very difficult information flow. People should come out and tell us so that we can understand.
This is a very, very important election. People should have turned out, to cast their votes, to express their citizenry in this new dispensation. Nobody can say there has not been certainly enough advertisements, voter education, sensitization. GRTS have done extremely well in this area in collaboration with NCCE and IEC.
Still optimistic and hoping for a different picture, we headed to other polling stations around the area, but it was the same all over in the region. At this polling station in Ilyasa and Kontekunda Niji, residents complained of the little or no sensitization done for the chairmanship election, and others lamented that many weren't even aware that elections are taking place.
The cause could be people are not aware, because if you look at even observation in the community, you don't see the flags, you don't see the posters. This can tell you that the people are not aware, maybe. This is the reason why the turnout is low.
4 candidates are vying for the North Bank chairmanship. Abdullah Jallo of GDC, Abdullah Gabriel Diba PDOIS, Gwe Seka of NRP, and Malamin IL Bojang UDP. We couldn't meet the other candidates, but GRTS caught up with the NRP candidate, Gwe Seka, who is the only woman vying for the chairmanship in the North Bank region.
I will win. I have that confidence in me. I'm an educationist. I can manage. I'm a parent. I love children. I've been with people together, working with mothers club, working with mothers, developing my schools. I've been into different schools in this region. I came to this region in 1989, and since then, I have been doing wonders in every community I went to.
In Badibunjaba Kunda, a different picture unfolds. IEC officials in charge of the polling station say at least they had a good queue of voters in the morning, unlike many other villages. In Kerawan, Daslame, Kuntaya and other areas, signs of voter interest and activities was apparent as villagers emerged to cast their votes. The IEC officials here said voting activity was conducted smoothly and peacefully. Residents and people in the North Bank region say the IEC should conduct more sensitization on election well before they begin and to upset the rise in voter apathy. Low voter turnout or not, now everyone in North Bank region, including those who did not cast their votes, are keenly waiting for the election results, whose announcement will bring smiles to others and discomfort for others. Reporting for GRTS News here in North Bank region, I am Aminata E. Sanya.
The picture of low voter turnout across the country continues in the Upper River region, which has been described as H-free. But voter turnout as well has remained slow and a problem particularly among the youthful population of the region. Isaac Keta is in the Upper River region and Sina tells us more.
That is the method used as a last option, an opportunity to entice the electorate and ensure voters go to the polls. But for many here, the councillorship elections, which we are criticized for a record low turnout, could be even better.
It's very far different from the councillor's election. Anyway, this one we did not even have half of the...
We'll take our first break now. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia right after this. So stay with us.
Can you get half the price, double the data, and 10 times the speed?
Yes, only with AfriCell. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, has done it again. AfriCell has brought you an unbeatable offer. Buy a MiFi router or a data card for half the price, double the megabytes, and get a speed 10 times faster.
Yes! Get a MiFi router today for only $2,000 and get 4 gigabytes of internet data for free. This is what the company with the fastest internet speed in the country can do. Say what? And that's not all. You can also buy a data card for only $1,500 and get 2 gigabytes of internet data for free.
This is an offer no one dares to match.
Where AfriCell goes, no one has the speed to follow.
cafka gu am solo sa biir gémmiñ ak fiiftaange gu amul fenn la top saaxo drink bu ees bi ñu tënk ko ci 33 cent litre di la jox ma ne saa yu njaboot gi daje di lekka top saaxo drink nga fa génn ndax bànneex ak kontaante gu am solo laa indil njaboot gi yëpp top saaxo drink fees del ak vitamine C moo gën pour njaboot gi top saaxo drink aka neex ma ne saa yu amee jotaay mbégte sëy wala taka top saaxo drink nga ci génn ndax dafa neexal torop sa feet ñëpp di ci bànneexu ma ne ñamal seen top saaxu fruit drink si ñu am ko ci flavors yu bari demee na ci orange mango ak yeneen tropical fruit flavors top saaxu am na lactic drinks tamit mu fees del ak vitamine C ak calcium top saaxu am na yogurt fruits tamit tamarind juice di energy drink bu laa jox doole bu amul fenn ma ne ñamal xeeti top saaxu fruit drink si nga xam ne ute naa ki fi nekk top saaxu drink si nag ñu leen ko indil di top food te top food amul werante mu gën ci Afrika.
Welcome back. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb has threatened attacks on Western companies operating in Northern and Western Africa. The group claims the farms are legitimate targets and has urged Muslims to boycott them. In the past, the terror organization has carried out high-profile attacks in Algeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Cote d'Ivoire. CGTN's Deji Batmos has been speaking to a security expert about the implications of the threats in the region.
It's a wake-up call, and if the targets are Western organizations, Western institutions, I want to say that if I am a security consultant for a Western organization, I will be worried more than the West African country where I'm domiciled, where I operate. Why? Because it's going to truncate and cripple my professional abilities, my business environment, less effects on the government of the day. The Western organizations existing in West African countries, this wake-up call is actually for them to build up their security awareness, information sharing, and tying into building the government capabilities where they exist. So I'm looking at something like what is basically happening in Lagos, like a private corporate responsibility relationship, partnership, to say, okay, we want to build your police, we want to build capacity of training, we want to build gadgets and logistics for your personnel to be able to combat and protect and deter. If they don't have that kind of wake-up call right now, then they will be exposing themselves, because they cannot have armed men to protect them. They need to use the government security agencies where they exist to run businesses. So if their businesses are being targeted, then they need to empower and support the government where they exist.
What do you think these countries, especially the countries in the West African sub-region now, what do you think they need to do to ward off this threat?
I'm expecting them to increase what they are doing, because I'm expecting people around borderline areas, Chad, Cameroon, Nigeria, they should really relate and share information. If you have interagency rivalry, you should not have neighboring countries rivalry, because right now the enemy is one. We are not thinking about Cameroon coming into Nigeria through Bakassi. We are not thinking about Chad running into Nigeria to take over neighboring states. No. We are thinking about nationals that are risk-prone, that are threat-high, that come into each other's country to perpetrate national breaches. So if we are looking at what they should be doing, we should even advise them to increase whatever they should have been doing, which is interagency relationship, sharing of information, high border control, movements of persons, businesses, integrity,
Patmos there speaking to a security expert on the implications of rising terrorism in West and North Africa. Now, in Zimbabwe, an organization is advocating for gender parity. Activists from the Arterial Network bring together women and help them advocate for change and recognition in various industries across the country. CGTN's Tuli Sabalala reports.
Over the years, the woman's role has changed. From the home to the workplace, women are gaining power, growing their careers, and slowly receiving more acknowledgement. In Zimbabwe, the Arterial Network, a civil society NGO, has been working to ensure that women's voices are heard, especially in the arts industry.
We don't do enough to encourage the women, whether they actually be directors, whether they be writers, whether they be producers. We don't do enough.
The organization encourages women to stand together and advocate for equal opportunities.
Women have to first recognize their female humanity. They really have to know that they are human, and this human is female. They are inextricable. They cannot be separated. And that they have a right to be treated with dignity and respect. First coming from themselves, and then from others.
Arterial Network not only does advocacy work, it also builds capacity and opens up market access to artists, activists, and entrepreneurs. Truly Shabalala, CGTN.
That brings us to the end of this newscast, but before we go, a recap of our top stories once again. President Adama Barrow has called for increased voter participation, this as he cast his vote in Old Yundum. Age-free in most parts of the country, the 2018 mayoral and chairperson's election has faced widespread low voter turnout. The Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb terrorist group has threatened attacks on Western farms operating across northern and western Africa. Plus, in Zimbabwe, women are for women. An organization is advocating for gender parity in the household. That's all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company.